Cardmaking with Crystal. Today we're talking swing cards, and I'm showing you how to make an A2 size, a 5.5 by 5.5 size, and a 6 by 6 size that uses no dies. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. I share tutorials on card making and crafting that are fun and easy to follow. Let's go down. Hi guys! In order to make your flip card, you need a piece of paper and a die. So if you're making a flip card with a 3-inch die, you need a piece of paper that is 5.5 inches by 5 and 1 point under 7/8. So this is 7/8 up here, and this is 1 point under 7/8. It's called 13/16 if you want to be very technical. You're gonna, on the 5 and 13/16 side, score at 2 1/8 and 2 7/8. This score line gives you a 3/4 of an inch score line. Now you're gonna fold and burnish this. How you're gonna fold is you're gonna fold it in half first, and this should give you a perfect half fold. And then open this and fold this one back. So your card should look like this, and it should be exactly 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is an A2 size card. So you're using an A2 size card to get a 3-inch cutout like this. All right, so let's get started with our cutout. The first thing you're going to do before you're going to cut out the card is you're going to add layers, because it's really hard to add layers after you do your cutout. I'm putting glue only on the top, side and bottom. So when I hold it like this and I turn it, I'll put in glue at the top here, this side coming down here, and at the bottom here. And I'm sticking it down like this. This layer is 2 inches by 5 3/8 of an inch. And this layer is 2 7/8 by 5 3/8 of an inch. Same concept, glue here, here, and here. And stick it down like so. Now we're going to do a partial die cut using this 3-inch die. So this die is exactly 3 inches. Alright, we're going to turn it and use this line to put half of our die on. So I'm going to stick it down like this, and then I'm going to measure, making sure I have 1 1/2 inches here and 1 1/2 inches here, and I do. So I'm going to use my washi tape and stick this down here, and let me show you how to partially die cut this. I'm going to bring in my used and well-loved Big Shot machine, and I'm going to first cut this side. So what you're going to do is you're putting your first plate down, you're putting the part that you're cutting towards you, sticking the other part on the inside, and you're putting this has a little lip on it, or tapered edge. What you're doing is you're putting this down and lining up the base of the tapered edge with this score line. So put it down like this, make sure it's straight, pull it a little bit more to you, so you don't want to cut further and cut into your space. The space has to have no cut line. So you're going to put it right here, hold it down, push in as far as it can go, and then you're going to start cutting. And let's see what happened here. So this is not bad. We got the cut up to here, right? So it cut and up to here, almost to the end. I am not going to cut this anymore. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife to finish this cut, which I suggest you do as well. I don't want to run it through and then it goes past. So let's run this way, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to line up my tapered edge here, push this as much as I can into my machine, holding it down, and then cut. Oh, this one cut perfect, almost to the score line, right? So we have a piece that didn't cut on top here, and all the rest cut. Let's finish it with our X-Acto knifing. So you will move this right? And you see our cutout is perfect all the way this way. We just have to support the cut down on this way, and we have the entire space to support it here. We're going to move this, which is why I didn't put glue here. Perfect. You see how that's up to the point? Perfect. And then we're going to finish the cut on this side as well, because it didn't cut straight through here. And we're going to just perfect. And now for the test for your swing. So to test your swing, you're going to push this down, push this up, and then swing. And that's a perfect swing card. So it's going to go like this. And now we're going to stick down the parts that we didn't stick down. So just stick your glue in here and stick down these parts, all of them. So you're going to push this down and you're going to put your glue in here, just like so. And you're going to stick down all of this. And now you have your layers, and it's stuck down so well. That looks so good. And you have your swing card. Let's decorate this swing card. It's going to be so much fun to decorate, guys. And I have a happy birthday sign. I love to put the happy birthday sign on the back of it, because you're given this card like this. So the person will take it out, and then when they flip it, they'll see happy birthday. You see, it's so cute. So let's stick happy birthday right to the front right here, like so. So you're going to stick this. Look how pretty that looks. And then this paper pad that I use the paper from, for this is here and this is here. I'm going to actually take some of the a small heart from here, and maybe this one. I like this one. This one is kind of cute. So when you flip this now, so now that we put this here, this is not going to bend again. See how nice this is flipping? So now we're going to put this like this now, and we're going to stick a nice colored piece on this side like so, right in the center. This is your front of your card now, so I'm going to put a heart, and then I'm going to put a leaf. Oh, that looks so cute, guys. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, this is so cute. And then I've die cut some flowers. I like this pink at the top and this cream at the bottom. I like the bird maybe on the leaf. And let's put a butterfly on the flower. Ah. Right, so look at that. Happy birthday. This is 5.5 inches by 7.5 inches, and you're going to score this at 2 3/4 and 3 3/4. So if you notice, it's a 1 inch score line. I'm going to fold and burnish the exact same way. I'm going to fold this forward, and it's going to fold this card basically in half. And then I'm going to open this, turn it over, and fold this back. And now you have a card that opens like this, and it is 5.5 inches by exactly 5.5 inches. So let's get started. What you're going to do is we're going to do the same thing that we did for your last card, which means we're going to add our layers first. We have some beautiful coordinating layers here. We're going to open this and add our layers. Now, just as the last time, we're going to center our die right here. And the wonderful thing about this die is that I actually don't have to measure it, because there's a point, but we're still going to measure it. Measure twice, cut once, right? So this is 2 inches, perfect. 2 inches, perfect. And we're going to hold this down here like so, and we're going to use our same washi. And what we're going to do is going to bring this forward, just like last time, push this back, and do a flip. Perfect, perfect flip. This is fitting through here perfectly. So let's decorate this one. Okay, so Let's talk about how you can make these things for yourself now. If you notice, I was very clear in explaining to you what size this little piece was on in both cards. For our 3-inch cutout, this was 3/4 of an inch, and for 4-inch cutout, this was 1 inch. And that is purposeful because you want this piece in the middle here to be 1/4 of the size of your cutout. All right, so a 3-inch cutout would be 1.5, 3/4, and 3/4. A 4-inch cutout will be 2, 1, 1, because 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4, and that's the cutout. So this is the size on the front of the card, this is the size of the middle of the card, and this is the size of the end of the card here. So that if this is half and this is half, when you flip, then that half will take up this space here. I hope you're following me. So let's make one and see. What about if we want a 4.5 inch cutout? All right, let's work that out. And we're not going to use any dies, we're going to cut it ourselves. So if you want a 4.5 inch cutout, so half of 4.5 is 2 1/4, and then 1/4 of 4.5 is 1 1/8, and then 1 1/8. All right, so these 3 sizes will be what you have to cut out for your card. Let's make one so that you can see how it's done. So if our card has to be 4.5 and it's 2 1/4 to the front, the middle has to be 1 1/8, and then the end cutout has to be 1 1/8 with the rest so that you can flip the card. So you see how this is 1.5 here, but it has a little bit of space in front here as well so that you can hold it to flip it. This is 2 inches here, but it has a little space so you can hold it to flip it. And each of those have a space of maybe about 3/4 inch, yeah? This is 1/2 inch, right? So let's add 3/4 inch to the front of this card. It'll be 3/4 inches plus 2 1/4 inches to the front. That's one panel. Then the second panel has to be 1 1/8 inches here. And then the third panel, so it's the first panel of the card, the second panel, and the third panel has to be all of these put together, because whenever we folded on this, it got the card in half. See that? So let's work it out. It's not hard, I promise. So 3/4 plus 2 1/4 is actually 3. Then you have 1 1/8, and 3 plus 1 1/8 is 4 1/8. Yeah? So this is how you have to score your card. So 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 4 is 8, and 1/8 plus 1/8 is 1/4. So we know that the width of our card has to be 8 1/4. And then when you minus 2 1/4, which is this 1 1/8 plus 1 1/8 is 2 1/4. From this, you'll get 6. So that means when you fold it in and those two 1 1/8 sides fold in on each other, the width of this card will be 6. So therefore, we'll make the height of it 6 so that we get a 6 by 6 card. I really hope you're following me here. So let's cut a piece of paper that is 6 by 8 1/4 and let's work it out. Yeah. So now this is 8 1/4 by 6. Let's score it based on what we did here. All right. So you followed me. This is really easy, I promise. You want a 3/4 inch allowance to the front of the card to hold it to flip it. It has to have 2 1/4 inches because you're going to do a 4.5 inch cutout, which means it has to have half of the cutout on the first panel of the card. The middle panel of the card must have 1 1/8 inches. Right? The middle panel must have 1 1/8 inches, and the end has to have 4 1/8, right? And all of that adds up to 8 1/4 inches, which is what we did. We did 8 1/4 inches. Let's score on our first score line, which will be this 3, right? Let's score on our second score line, which will be 4 1/8, because 1/4 of 4 1/2 is 1 1/8, right? So when we fold this in half, this should fold in half, right? So we're getting somewhere. We're already started. We're doing well. Burnish, open, turn over, back fold, and this is the test now, because when I fold this card should be 6 by 6. So it is 6 inches by exactly 6 inches. So we know we know we've gotten somewhere. Now we want a big cutout out of this card. So we want 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. Let's do some measuring. The first bit we want is 3/4 by 3/4. Right? And then we want a 4 1/2 in between here. So 4 1/2, 6 minus 4 1/2 is 1 1/2. So line up your ruler at these 2 points that you made and draw a line from 3/4 to 5 1/4. Right? Now I'm going to bring in my T-square ruler, and I'm going to make that straight line up to here. Up to here. Then I'm going to bring in this ruler. I'm going to measure from the point here to 4 1/2 and stopping here. And I'm going to measure, do the same thing on this side. So you're measuring from 0 along this line here that we already started drawing, and then continue in here to 4 1/2, because that's our cutout. And then we're going to join these two from here to here. This is your cutout for your card. All right? And when we're going to cut this out now, I am going to use my X-Acto knife to cut it out. Now, this is the big test now to see if I am right and if I'm going to cut this part of my video or leave it. It's a joke. We should be able to push this like this, and it lines up perfectly with our card. So the lineup is actually brilliant. It works. Let's add designer paper to this. And I'm just going to stick this here. I'm going to stick this here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut on my same line here. Perfect. We're going to design the front of our card first. So let's do the back now. So we got our card. It looks amazing. It's a swing, same swing. So just remember the concept of the swing card is half of it at the front, and then a quarter and a quarter is the cutout to the back. We have some really pretty options here for you. So I'm going to leave all the measurements in the description box for you. We have a 3-inch swing card that gives you an A2 size card. We have a 4-inch swing card that gives you a 5.5 by 5.5 card, and we have a 6-inch swing card that gives you a 4.5-inch cutout. So much for joining me while we made these cards. These cards are so cute and can be made for just any occasion. I made them birthday inspired because I have a birthday card to give, but you can make them for Easter, you can make them for Mother's Day. There's so much you could do with swing cards that, you know, and you know, the little kind of peekaboo effect. Gorgeous. If you like this video, be sure to give it an actual thumbs up, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any content, and stay crafty, my friends.